Hi guys. Today we're in conversation with Harshit from Humans of Cinema and Kalpa from Character Biopsies, and they're wonderful people. And they've agreed to have this chat where we're going to talk about things we've discovered in the lockdown and just generally how cinema has impacted us over the years. Hi Harshit. Hi Kalpa.
Ashika.
What's up?
Let's kick off the conversation with how have you been and how has the lockdown been? It's been about more than 3 months now that we've all been locked up in our houses, and all we've done is watched movies, read a lot of books, and other things. So, how has it been? How has it been for you guys?
It started very well for me. If I have to make a graph of how a good boy I was in the lockdown, it will go like this when you fall. Because initially the motivation levels were very high in reading, in out, in writing, everything. But I think mid-May onwards, it's been very dwindling. I've hardly read, only watching movies. I don't even feel like starting a new series. And still I still watch series, but then it really needs a lot of motivation. And workout also, it's become like few and far in between.
Have you been working out?
I have on and off
Okay.
worked out today, so I can say yes.
It's been very similar for me as well. Like when it started, I had so many things planned also, and I was executing them also. In fact, if you go to my Instagram, personal Instagram, you'll see that in the beginning I was every day or at least every second day I was doing something new. I was making this video of random things, and I was recording myself singing also. I was doing all of these things, and then suddenly it just got so weird. And as Kalpa said, I became very unproductive, and it just became about doing the things that we are supposed to do instead of actually exploring the other things. But I have been watching a lot of films. In fact, I made this one rule of watching one film per day at least. Not at least, also on an average, I have been watching one film per day. Some days I miss it, but I make up for it. So that was one rule that I had when the lockdown started, and I have been abiding by it actually. Because for us, watching films is almost like work now. So I mean, if we have to work, then it's like that. It's a part of the work. So I have been doing that, and besides that, series I have been avoiding as well, just because of how much time they take up.
You also feel that when you open a new series ka page on Netflix or Prime, and when you see 1 hour episodes, you feel like, arey,
For me, it's the number of seasons. Like, if the number of seasons is more than 2, and if I have to start it now, then it just feels like such a long commitment, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through.
I mean, sometimes I miss that about college also. Right? Like in college, I used to watch shows day in and day night. I literally remember this one. For some reason, I remember this one night where I was in the process of watching Breaking Bad. It was probably my second year or something like that. And I did not used to go to college, of course. I used to do theatre, so that was the only thing that I used to go for. I was not attending any classes, और Delhi University में कोई पूछता भी नहीं है classes के बारे में. उस टाइम पे मेरे को एक बार याद है कि मेरी ऐसी हालत थी, टीवी स्क्रीन पर जेसी पिंकमैन की ऐसी हालत रखी थी कि वो ड्रग्स लेके लेटा हुआ था, और मैं यहाँ पे शो देखते देखते ऐसे लेटा हुआ था. तो उसकी मैथ की एडिक्शन हो रखी थी और मेरे को शो की एडिक्शन हो रखी थी. रात के 2:30 या 3 बज रहे थे, और उस टाइम में मैंने एक्चुअली एकदम से अपने आप से पूछा व्हाट द हेल एम आई डूइंग मैन, this is not healthy at all. But I think after that, I changed the habits.
What image I got when you said this story? You remember that scene from Big Bang Theory when Penny gets addicted to that game, and she's just a zombie playing it day in and out, and she doesn't know what's happening. I could totally imagine you in that.
It was probably worse.
I got the image of Kabir Singh right before the interval shot when he just falls down his feet.
We have to talk about Kabir Singh since you've just done a character biopsy on it. But I just wanted to mention that for me, it's actually been completely opposite from you guys since the lockdown started. Because when the lockdown started, I was like, यार 1-2 हफ्ते की बात है, 1-2 हफ्ते में ये ठीक होने वाला है. So I don't want to indulge into something new because it's going to be back to normal in 1-2 weeks. And then starting me, I felt that way. So I didn't really indulge into it. And then dhire when I got to know that this is here to stay, and I should probably start and do something new, then I started doing things, and then I started getting into books, and then etc., etc., etc. So it was actually quite the opposite for me.
That's a much better graph.
Yeah.
Because at least right now I'm not Nietzsche. I'm at least still hopefully going upper. So let's talk about. You want to talk about Kabir Singh, the character biopsy that this one did?
Yeah.
Kalpa.
Like, I would like to know how you're dealing with the reaction that you're getting.
It's
Like,
crazy.
Is it affecting you? Is the
No.
reaction affecting you?
And was it expected? I kind of saw it coming when I read your.
I did not expect it at this level because it's already been more than a year to the movie. And so many things have already been said about it, which is why I was not wanting to do a Kabir Singh biopsy also, because it's like मैं और क्या लिखूं जो नहीं लिखा गया है इसके बारे में already. You know, it's very difficult to find new content that's not been written already. But still, I was getting a lot of requests for Kabir Singh. Almost, not exaggerating, almost on once in a 2-day basis, something I used to get, please write on Kabir Singh. So I was like, chalo.
By any particular reason, I mean, so much has already been, like you said, so much has already been spoken about it. Why would someone want to? I mean, why would so many people send in requests for something that has already been?
No, because it's a constant debate. So they wanted to know what my opinion was, basically. That's what I understand from all the requests. And I knew after the reactions I got on the Ross post, the Ross Geller post, and the Maddie Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein post, I knew this would also be like a mixed bag. It has really blown up in the comments. This is the highest number of comments any post of mine ever has received. And people are still debating amongst themselves, trying to put their point across, convince each other, having conversations and stuff. So I'm just reading all those things. I'm reading every comment, but I'm enjoying it. And somewhere I'm agreeing with some comments also, which are contradicting mine. But some are like very baseless and, you know,
Illogical.
Yeah.
I got that kind of response in this post that I did about Patal Lok. That became extremely controversial. Again, like people started debating amongst themselves because just like the show, my review was also completely political, and my politics align with the politics of the show, which a lot of people in India do not align with. So, like, of course, and the show itself was getting a lot of hate for a lot of things, and the same kind of hate kind of seeped into my comment section as well. And I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, it's been a while now, and still I keep seeing 1 or 2 comments that are being left upon the previous comments that were there, and people are replying to them, etc., and it's just going on until now. I mean, yeah, but oddly, like earlier comments, like negative comments, did used to affect me for some reason. I think for me, how it has been or it has become now is that when a person that I do not agree with, like in terms of that my politics do not agree with, or my ideologies, my viewpoints do not agree with, if they are saying something, then it does not affect me because I just understand that they're coming from a completely different place. Because of a lot of reasons. And I think once you understand that, the problem comes when the people who align with your ideology, when they start saying negative things about you, that is when I think it affects you more. Like, that's what I've seen about myself. When the people that you respect and the people that you like to agree with you, when they start disagreeing with you or start leaving negative comments, I think that affects you more as compared to the other one. So
yeah. How do you have, since you spoke about Ross and Maddie, I can still understand because, you know, there is still been debate about him being a toxic character. There is still been, you know, people with that point of view. But Ross, I don't think anyone ever has said that he was a toxic character.
No, there are many such.
Why have I not heard of this?
On YouTube, there are video essays on YouTube as well about Ross.
About Ross being... So, the first time I heard that Ross is a toxic character is from Kalpa.
Okay.
No, this is a very prevalent opinion amongst people.
Yeah.
If you look it up, so just was toxic or something. Many people have pointed out everybody in Friends is toxic. Individually, सबकी toxicities list down की है. But that's, I think, taking it a bit too far.
I think that's anyone, no, but...
Yeah, that is find it in every character.
Exactly.
Toxicity is relative. And I mean, that's what I always tell a lot of people, that what a person who may be toxic for you may not be toxic for somebody else. And you may be toxic for a lot of people.
Exactly.
That will always be there, and that will always be there for characters as well. But I mean, eventually the whole point of film appreciation or film studies is that we try to understand or deconstruct as many layers of film and of characters as possible, just in order to understand our society better. Because understanding film and understanding these things helps in understanding society better. Na, eventually, like so many people already love Ross. If there is a person who will come in and point out the things that are wrong with him, it will only help people understanding. Okay, this is also a perspective that we did not know about, and now we do, and probably they will. The next time they come across a trait like that in themselves, they'll realize that okay, this is probably not a very healthy thing to do.
And Ross Friends is still affecting a very niche group of people because it is an English sitcom. But when it comes to movies, the impact of Bollywood cinema on overall Indian culture, I think it's too strong and too subconscious that people don't realize. A lot of people in the Kabir Singh post comments, they have argued that this is just a movie, he's just a character, this is fiction. I understand all of that. But when in your country's culture, movie is equivalent to a religion, and you are not realizing but how much it is impacting our social development, cultural development, our thinking subconsciously, it really impacts. Throughout 90s, we have seen the biggest of our current stars chase heroines like hooligans, and eventually the girl gets pataw fight. And that is why all these teasing things happen, because people believe yahi hone wala, ladki maan jayegi, hasi to fasi, and all that. All these kind of cultures are permeated by movies.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that ऐसी movie नहीं बननी चाहिए, but you don't give a slow-mo background music entry to a guy who's that bad and show him like a hero. Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's a big responsibility of the filmmakers of any country, especially in countries like this where cinema is so, as I said already, at the level of a religion. It is kind of their responsibility to drive the culture ahead. If they keep making dumber movies, the public's intelligence level will remain a little low. As long as you don't feed them content that is more intelligent, that pushes them to think more, the audience's grasping of that will not grow, and then they will reject all the good content eventually because it is not dumbed down for them.
Which is also happening now. With a lot of rich and intelligent content, people are just rejecting it because they do not fit in the rules that they believe to be Bollywood.
Yeah.
Thappad being such a socially intelligent film, it took so much time for people to talk about it and even go to the theaters to watch it. I mean, the conversation started happening around Thappad. The conversation only took so much time, but for Kabir Singh, आज release हुआ and every next day say the theaters were full. Even if Thappad was there in the cinemas for a long time and lockdown happened later, it took so much time for the conversation to happen and for people to actually go to the theaters and watch that film. That is exactly what talks about rejection from the audience, because a film like Thappad took.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to compare it with how Kabir Singh performed, then so definitely.
Or any other movie for that matter.
There's a huge gap. But I still think that Thappad did way better than a lot of films like Thappad do, probably because there was a famous person in it, and also because Anubhav Sinha, who is a relatively popular director, now made it. I think Thappad still started a lot of conversation, like the kind of conversation that was because I also remember when the trailer came out, so many people were already talking about Thappad on the internet. People had already started talking about, even meme pages. I remember some of the meme pages were putting out good posts about Thappad, posts like just the trailer of Thappad is better than so many movies that get made nowadays. I also remember posts like these being made. So I think Thappad still got, and even though it was a film that did not compromise with the filmmaking in any way, I personally believe, in order to tell the story or in order to further the narrative in any way, it did not compromise the storytelling in any way or with the filmmaking. I almost, while watching the film, I almost felt like I'm watching a Hollywood film or something like that, where they're, to be very honest. And I think the acceptance that the film has got, this kind of acceptance was just not possible 3 years ago even.
I still feel that the acceptance that the film got, even after having a star like Taapsee Pannu and a director like Anubhav Sinha, was much lesser than the film should have gotten. having Taapsee Pannu in a movie like that should have
Hmm.
gotten so much more out of it. Like, it still shouldn't have taken so much time to start conversation. I agree with you that conversation had started with the trailer itself, but did it impact on the number of people going to the theaters and actually watching the film? You know?
I actually don't know how well it did business wise. I
It
actually
did not. That's what I'm saying. Now,
That's
Thappad
what I'm saying, yeah. It did not.
okay. So even though
was
it did start a lot of conversation, but still it did not make money. That's
It started conversation
That's-
after it came on Prime. People finally got to see it.
Yeah. And also, the conversation had started when the movie was in the theaters, but it was not enough for people to be driven to the theaters.
Yeah, it was not a crowd puller basically.
Exactly. And even with a person like Taapsee Pannu in it, that's when you know
Yeah,
that
actually-
the content is not being accepted by the audience when you know compare these parameters with films like
I'll also tell you one more thing that happened with Thappad, and it was that a lot of people who identify as anti-feminist, let's say, like people who do not align with the idea of feminism or especially were against the basic premise of Thappad of a woman divorcing her husband on the basis of just one slap. So many people actually revolted against the film, and there was also a lot of negative response, negative reaction on social media and on the internet that the film got. The film was actually, even though it was doing extremely well from the positive reaction point of view, but at the same time, it was also getting a lot of negative reaction. So I think that also, did a lot of damage to the film's business.
Yeah, but again, Kabir Singh also got a lot of negative reaction. In fact,
That's
more
also
than
true,
Thappad, I believe. But
Yeah.
it didn't affect its business, or it didn't affect how the movie is still, starting off everything,
That's true. That's true.
right?
Thappad. So I think if I think back in 2020 so far, Thappad is my favorite movie to come out of Indian Hindi list so far.
Yeah, for sure.
When I
Right.
posted a biopsy on Taapsee Pannu's dad, a lot of the comments I got were, this character does not deserve so much of scrutiny. This movie was okay. It was based on an overreaction. So I was really surprised because I thought this movie does the job so well in getting its point across that a slap matters at the end of the day. But still, there are so many people after the movie, watching the entire movie, they still believe, "Arey yaar, ye to bahut overreact kar diya." So they are still very firm.
Yeah.
It also, the overreaction wala comment I feel also came because a lot of people felt it was a response or an answer to Kabir Singh. Because in Kabir Singh, everyone was talking about the slap, right?
Yeah.
And then Thappad was talking about that one slap. So a lot of people felt it's not an individual movie, but it's just a response or an answer to a movie that has come across. That's why everyone was like, "Arey, why are you overreacting on a slap showcased in another film?" That's where the overreaction came in. But what I feel people failed to see was that it was high time that a movie like Thappad came out and just put the point across that it is not just about a slap or domestic violence. It's a much bigger issue than that. It was genuinely not about a slap. Even though the movie is called Thappad, it was not about that. Thappad, it was much, much, much more than that. But people,
Thappad as a movie is so difficult to make because if somebody has not seen Thappad and if I have to tell them the story of Thappad, I can say it in one line.
Yeah.
The entire movie is so tightly written, you don't get bored in a single scene. Every dialogue, every conversation. No character seems forced or misplaced or zabardasti ka caricaturist. It
Yeah.
all fits in so beautifully, the entire jigsaw. That's why I fell in love with the movie when I saw it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact, the first time I ever, I saw that film, and the first thing I called my friend because I was just so emotional. It happens when, you watch a film like that and you connect to a lot of things in your own life. And I was just so emotional. I called a friend, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Oh my God, this movie is so well written. Like, each character in this movie is so perfect. You cannot, because all of them have grey shades. None of the characters is, good or bad or amazing or fucked up. Everyone has their own battles. Everyone has their own grey shades, and they're just so real, all of them, that you cannot help but fall in love with, the way each character has been written in that movie, and I think that's the strength. Of course, the performances and direction and everything is just amazing in that movie, but the way it's been written and the characters have come together, all of them, each and every one, I think it's the biggest strength of that movie.
Yeah.
Even Taapsee Pannu's character herself used to laugh off the matter of her maid getting beaten up by her husband every day.
Exactly.
To giggle on that and stuff, and then when she got the slap, then she saw the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even her dad, I was just talking about him to someone the other day, and even her dad, he is so progressive and so supportive of what happened to his daughter. But in his own way, knowingly or unknowingly, in his own way, he has done, not domestic violence, but he has done wrong things to his own wife as well, even though he didn't know about it.
And also, once the slap happens, like especially if a person is watching without any knowledge about the film or the theme of the film, वैसे तो मतलब फिल्म का नाम देख के थोड़ा बहुत थीम पता चल ही जाएगा कि at some point the थप्पड़ is coming. But let's say the person is going in without knowing at all what the film is about, and they start watching the film, it will start looking like it's just a film about a married couple. Something will happen which will throw you a little bit off, even if you are a little socially aware about the world and about gender especially. There are some things that will, in the beginning, throw you a little off. Let's say, this the guy being so nonchalant about his behavior towards his wife, and also him taking her for granted so many times when she's being so supportive, so helpful. On some level, you start looking at it like, okay, like this is all right. Like this is not something that you have to be concerned about. This is something that happens. We have seen it around. Like that kind of stuff is not even something that happens in conservative families by conservative men. It happens in people like Amrita's husband's character, who is an educated person in a big city. But once the slap happens, you actually start thinking about all the red flags, and it's very similar to, like, for me also, when I actually found out for the first time about red flags and how small things are there in a relationship that that you should take as warning signals. For example, stuff like if a man tells his girlfriend or his wife to, let's say, not wear short clothes when she's going outside, stuff like that, or he's trying to control her in any way. These are the kind of things that eventually lead up to him beating her up, let's say. And they have showed the exact same thing so gracefully and so intelligently that you can't help but sit in awe of the writers of how, because it does not even at one point look like it's getting too much, like the controlling is getting too much. It actually all seems very believable. None of it feels forced at all. But once it happens, then you start thinking about, okay, like these are the red flags, and this is exactly the kind of behavior that should not be condoned. And of course, as men who watch it, should understand, like, this is the kind of thing that you should probably not even think about inhibiting in any way.
Yeah, like the first time when like you said, when a guy tries to tell his girlfriend or his wife that maybe you shouldn't wear that or maybe you shouldn't wear this, people always try to rub it off as he cares about you, he's being protective about you, and you do not see the controlling nature that might depict of bigger issues in a relationship or with people in general. And the first time I could see that, or maybe it just rubbed off on me that maybe this guy, everything is normal with him. The character of Pavel Gulati, I can't remember his name right now in the film, but the character of Pavel Gulati, Taapsee's husband in the film, the first time, it just, that breeze of this is not right happened for me as a girl was when Dia Mirza passes by in a new car and he says, "वापस से नई गाड़ी ले ली, ऐसा क्या कर दिया?" That smoke, like ऐसा क्या करती है? And then Taapsee replies with mehnat, and then he just does that and leaves. That was the first time I was just like, okay, wait, I don't think that is cool. And till that time, nothing had even happened. He was like a perfect guy. He seemed like a perfect guy on screen. But as a girl, that was one time when I was like, okay, maybe he's not as good or as perfect that he seems to be. And I mean, it was just, and it was done so smoothly in the writing. Like even that one scene, I could see it maybe because I was just too involved in watching it and I was just paying attention to each and everything, but it was just done so smoothly that
Yeah.
a viewer would not even notice that something was wrong about that sentence, about the way he said.
Absolutely right.
In fact, that guy's character in the movie I felt was, if you see the bigger picture, now again this might get controversial, I think the guy was more good than bad overall. The main guy.
Well, Gulati, yeah.
Hardwiring of being a misogynist, of feeling that it's okay, ek thappadi to tha, of not realizing how he has humiliated his wife and how he had no right to do so. That is where he went wrong. But yeah, there was actually one scene that I loved in the movie. It's a very underplayed scene, nothing great about it. The first time he goes to Taapsee's place to manify her, ke chalo ghar pe chodo, vagara vagara.
Oh, yeah.
And she does not agree to come. So he's leaving, he goes out of the house and Taapsee's father comes and he's waiting at the door. So this guy starts his car and then suddenly he gets out of the car, goes to Taapsee's father, does peri pauna.
Yeah. Yeah.
So मतलब उसने उतना भी संस्कार दिया है मॉम डैड ने, पर उसको बेसिक जो एक रिस्पेक्टिंग जो था वो नहीं सिखाया उसके घर पे.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's exactly how an Indian man grows up. That's exactly what an Indian man learns on an average. I'm not saying everyone. I'm not saying not all men. Sorry, all men. but on an average, an Indian male is exactly taught this, कि बड़ों की respect करो, but he's not taught कि he's maybe today taught that women की respect करो, but he's not taught what women की respect actually means.
Yeah, he has not seen it.
Yeah, he thinks he respects women. He actually believes that he respects women, but he doesn't know what it means. He doesn't have a definition for it. That's exactly
the concept of respecting women is very superficial in India.
Yes.
It's very superficial. It's like beti bachao, beti padhao is respecting or empowering women. That's the idea of
job करने दे दो या उनको काम करने दे दो. In fact, the scene from Dil Dhadakne Do is one of my most favorite scenes where exactly an Indian wife is when Rahul Bose say Farhan Akhtar questions him, no, कि Rahul Bose says कि मेरे फॉर्म तक किसी ने काम नहीं किया और मैंने आयशा को अलाउ किया. And then Farhan says, but why does she need your permission? What does allowing mean? That means you're superior to her. That one scene or that one sentence actually just shows the entire picture, that how he felt that he was not doing anything wrong and he was actually being progressive about women, but whereas he was actually disrespecting.
Like bachpan se you've been taught to respect women, but throughout your childhood you've seen your father being a higher figure than your mother.
Exactly.
Wiring wo hoga ke respect karo, at the end of the day man is thoda superior. So as an inferior person tum respect karo, which is wrong.
Yeah. And that's why Thappad hits all the right notes, because it exactly talks about that, how Pavel Gulati thought that it was fine because of his upbringing, and he seemed like a totally normal person who wouldn't do it on purpose or wouldn't even think of hitting his wife in his worst nightmare. But when it actually happened, he thought it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, he didn't even realize it.
Yeah, and that's where the problem started. If you remember, the next day Taapsee was waiting. It wasn't really in your face, but if you see it, Taapsee was waiting for him to come and at least acknowledge the fact that something wrong happened last night and I am maybe sorry about it. He did not even acknowledge it. He did not even think that something wrong happened. He was like, "Ho gaya na, it's no big deal." That's where the entire problem, and that's where the entire Taapsee's what, this is not right, started.
So when I saw Thappad, my first thought was Taapsee's character, the way it has been shown, what would have been the direction of things had the guy apologized the next day?
Yeah. It would have been
because as soon as he slapped her, you could see her instantly falling out of love with him and lose all respect and suddenly feel that this guy is a stranger, I don't know him anymore. But had he apologized the very next day, would she still have gone ahead and gone to her parents' place and eventually divorced, or would she have forgiven? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's not about the act as much it is about how the guy dealt with it after the act.
Belittled the whole thing.
Exactly. Like, you can still come across the fact that maybe in the heat of the moment something really wrong happened. But if the person is, acknowledging it or feeling sorry about it is actually genuinely sorry about it, you can still give it a benefit of doubt and come around it. Okay, fine, something wrong happened and the person knows something wrong happened. It was the fact that he did not even think for a second that it was wrong.
Have you guys seen Westworld? I just started watching Westworld. I'm about to complete season 1.
Me neither. Yeah. Like so many people have asked me to watch it, but it's just not a show that I could start. Besides Chernobyl also a show that I just did not start.
I haven't.
I've not seen Breaking Bad.
You haven't seen Breaking Bad, yeah? You were saying.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad also. I haven't seen Game of Thrones also.
What?
Yeah.
Have you only seen sitcoms then?
Have you only seen what?
Sitcoms. Like
No.
Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad are the biggest dramas that exist.
I know, but I told you now, my problem is when I have to start a show and it's more than 2 seasons, I just feel so much like I have to really come around it to start it and be like, okay, I'm going to finish it. You know? That's my problem. I don't have a problem with watching it. In fact, Game of Thrones too, I started when it had come out only. So it wasn't the number of seasons that was the problem. And this is a very unpopular opinion on Game of Thrones. I actually started it when it came out. I reached 1.5 seasons. Like, I pushed myself because everyone was saying such great things about it. And I was like, maybe maybe the problem is with me that I'm not getting hooked to it, or because everyone's saying such great things, why am I not see it?
That's very rare. Like, people not liking the show after 1.5 seasons, especially.
Yeah, I reached 1.5 seasons and I just couldn't connect with it. Like, I liked it. I was fine. I could go on and I could complete it. But I just couldn't connect with it. I didn't feel the need to press next episode and that urge, oh my god, kya ho raha hai, mujhe aage dekhna hai. It just didn't happen to me. I don't know why.
Same thing happened with me for Big Bang Theory and with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So Big Bang Theory I can't tolerate. Like the Sheldon guy gets on my nerves. I've seen a couple of episodes. I just hate that show. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the humor, I saw one entire season, not just 1 or 2 episodes. And all the dialogues, the humor seemed so forced.
Yeah.
That's the point though. That's the point.
I had the same opinion about Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
And I think after watching The Office, your standard of humor goes up. I don't know, maybe just my opinion, but after watching The Office, your standard of humor goes really up, and then it's very difficult to like other shows, find them as funny.
Yeah, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine, see, if you're comparing it with The Office, then you are making the wrong comparison, because they are 2 very different shows. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a sitcom. The Office is a proper comedy show.
Yeah.
And for a sitcom, you have to suspend your belief in terms of, you have to understand that it's a very different world that they're presenting to you, and you have to buy into the world. I mean, of course, if you cannot buy into the world, that's a different thing. Like for Friends also, like so many things about Friends are so unrealistic. Like you hardly find them working there at the coffee shop all the time, and there's so many other things in general. Like I think about, for example, we were talking about the Friends remake in India also, the other day.
Yeah.
Thinking about why they made the characters so caricaturish. Like Chinnappa doing all those things, which seemed so forced. But at the same time, I thought like actually Ross does the exact same things, and we like that. It could be in the acting, for sure, but at the same time, it could also be a cultural thing. The fact that we can look at Chinnappa and think that he is not looking nice doing these things is because we have seen Chinnappa in other things and we know how he is. So that's why we probably thought that was getting caricaturish. At the same time, American people could feel the same way about David Schwimmer looking caricaturish. the thing is that in India, the concept of a sitcom does not exist. Like the farcical comedy structure has been extremely rare. Like we've hardly had 2 or 3 shows that have been there. Sarabhai versus Sarabhai has been there, but for that also the comedy was quite, I would say,
Sarabhai was a very witty show. It was not
witty. It was also the comedy in it also was quite subtle, except for maybe Ross's character. There was no other character that was farcical. Friends, the comedy of Friends is almost like a play. It almost plays out like a play, and that is the comedy that is the kind of farcical comedy that generally happens in sitcoms. I just think that kind of genre itself has not become popular in India ever. It just has not worked. It did work at some level in the 90s maybe with Dekh Bhai Dekh and what other show? Not Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro.
Hip Hip Hooray.
No, not even Hip Hip Hooray. Hip Hip Hooray comedy was also.
I have not watched it. I was just throwing the name.
Rakesh Bedi का एक show था.
I know which you're talking about. Hum Sab Ek Hain. 3 brothers married. वही ना?
Not even about.
Hum Panch. Is it Hum Panch?
No. It sounded like Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro. I cannot remember the exact name, but yeah. So that was a show which was a lot like that. But anyway, point being, I think it's just the comedy structure that is different, and you have to buy into the world. And if you cannot buy into it, then you will not like it. But at the same time, I feel that the writing of Brooklyn Nine-Nine is obviously not as good as The Office. The Office is on another level, but at the same time, it's not bad at all.
I have not. I couldn't get into, like Kalpak. I couldn't get into Brooklyn Nine-Nine's.
It's definitely much better than Big Bang Theory.
But actually, to my surprise, I could actually complete Big Bang Theory. I don't know why, for some weird reason. So I started with Big Bang Theory.
You've seen all the 13 seasons.
That's what I'm saying. I started with Big Bang Theory a few years ago, and I did not like it at all. And in the first season, I gave up. I was like, this is just not my taste, and I'm not liking it. So I gave up. And recently, I think last year, I was like, you know what, let me just give it a shot. It was just popping up on my Netflix, too much. And I was just like, let me just watch 1-2 episodes. And I started all over again. And this time I stuck around. I actually completed the entire show in, in whatever period, but beach mein without going to any other show. Like I completed it in one motion, if you could say. For some reason, this time it stuck around and that time it did not. So I think I realized that also how we perceive it has a lot to do with what we like at a particular time. The same show I did not like a few years back at all and it didn't stick around. Game of Thrones, it did not stick around. Twice I tried, but it just did not stick around to me. But this time when I watched Big Bang Theory, it stuck around, and then I tried Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it did not. So, it doesn't make sense. It is just so random, but I don't think you can ever make sense out of
for sure.
What you like or what you don't like, because
of course.
That's where the subjectiveness of it comes into play.
For sure.
Sometimes I strongly believe had I seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine before The Office, I would have liked it a lot more. Again, I'm comparing the 2 shows, I know. But...
No, like I completely understand that. Like even I saw Brooklyn Nine-Nine exactly right after The Office. I just completed The Office. I saw it again, and then I saw Brooklyn Nine-Nine like immediately after that, because I was looking for shows that were similar to The Office in some way. I did not want to watch the exact same thing, so I did not start Parks and Recreation, which is why I went for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is in some way similar to The Office because it's a workplace comedy, but at the same time it's different. But I really liked it, yeah. Like I really, really liked it when I saw it for the first time. Yeah, I think it's eventually a matter of choice, I think.
Yeah, like right now the 3 of us were talking about Thappad and Kabir Singh, and all of us were so much in sync, with exactly what we were saying about those 2 things. And now suddenly 3 of us have at least one odd man out of these shows that the other 2 have really enjoyed, and one person has just not stuck around. Like
Big Bang Theory, I have to say, Big Bang Theory was the first American show that I started watching. This was back in 2010 or something like that, when I was still in school, in class 10, and Big Bang Theory was the first show because it used to come on Star World, and I really, really used to like it because, in fact, it was the show at that point of time for me that used to be the only source of relief for me. I used to come from school, I used to go to the tuition and stuff like that. I used to come back, and even I remember I used to be sitting in the tuition and I used to be thinking about what today's episode is going to be about. It actually was like that for me. So like that show. Sorry.
That was Friends for me.
In school?
Yeah, that was Friends for me.
College. Big Bang Theory at that point in time I really, really liked. But I only saw this one season that was on air at that time on Star World. And then when I revisited the show as an adult after watching all of those shows, all of the new shows, that show just started looking extremely. I just did not like it after that. So yeah, it's very similar
Big
to
Bang
you, but
Theory.
it's the opposite. Yeah. For you, it was like you liked it. You did not like it before, but you liked it after. For me, it was the
Yeah.
opposite.
And after a few years, like 4-5 years, like that, it's a
Yeah.
huge gap. It's my whole worldview must have probably changed in those 4 to 5 years. So I'm going to start with the comments that people left on, our post for us to discuss or answer. And the first one is, when you watch films, which part of the filmmaking process intrigues you the most? The writing, the character, layering, etc., or the more technical parts? Also, don't you find it difficult to write for films which are on the surface, and even though you've enjoyed it, there isn't much to explore through writing other than talking about the plot?
So 3 things stand out for me in the entire process of filmmaking. One is the writing, the script writing basically. Second is the cinematography, and third is the editing. So editing can completely change a movie. I feel if you can make a masterpiece and if the editor is going to be shit, then it's going to get fucked up completely. So these 3 things I really take notice of, and I love it. Like I get childlike enthusiasm whenever I see long shots in a movie. Like as soon as I see that a shot is going on continuously, I tell people, "Hey, कब से चालू है? वो enter किया तब से चल रहा है, one shot देखा क्या तू? Are you noticing?" I get very excited when I notice that. I love long shots. I'm a big sucker for really long shots. Yeah, these are the 3 things I enjoy in the movie making process.
Yeah. Same here. I feel like in the entire filmmaking process, there are 3 times where you're actually either rewriting the narrative or creating a new narrative or adding something to it, which is first while writing it, second while the cinematographer is shooting it, because he puts in his own gaze and his own narrative into the shooting process, and the third time is editing. Editing is definitely a entire rewriting of the entire narrative. Like it actually redefines the entire tone, mood, characters, everything. I think editing does that to each and everything about a film. So I agree with you. Like these 3 things I feel are the things that I generally am attracted towards, or generally am paying more attention to than the other aspects of it. Mainly because I genuinely believe that these are the 3 times people are actually creating their new narrative through their work.
Okay, so for me, writing is the most important for sure. But besides the writing, I of course I also notice cinematography, as you guys said, but also for me, I'm big on aesthetics. I really like films that just have beautiful aesthetics. It's not the only thing I look in a film, but if a film does have good aesthetics, then I'm willing to I'm willing to ignore a lot of other things if I'm just looking at a film and just feeling good about watching it, like if it's visually appealing to me. So that really really changes the thing for me. So I would say especially in the past 1 year or something like that, I started noticing the art direction and the production design and stuff like that. I started noticing the coloring of the film. I've become extremely obsessed with the color aspect of a scene. How they do the color grading, or how a cinematographer and the set designer or the production designer and the colorist, all of them come together in order to create this colorful all the colors in the scene and how much that impacts the way the viewer views the scene. So I am huge on aesthetics that way. Besides that, I also notice the acting a lot because maybe, so for me that becomes a very important part of the film. If the actor is not good, I'm just not able to enjoy the film as much as I would otherwise. So for me, uh, these are things that are more important for me when I watch films. But writing for sure becomes the most important no matter what. Like the writing just cannot be compromised. I think I think writers need to get way more credit than they are getting even now I think it's still a joke, the whatever the credit the writers get. So many people still don't know, so many people still don't know that Juhi Chaturvedi is the person who has written Vicky Donor, Piku October, Gulabo Sitabo. They would know Shujit Sarkar is the director, they would know the actors of course, but the writers still people don't know. And it just seems so weird to me. Like without that piece of writing, without the idea and all of these things, this film literally would not have existed. If Juhi Chaturvedi did not have that idea of Vicky Donor, probably Ayushman's career wouldn't have been there, you know. And people don't realize, like it's a very simple thing to think about, but it's actually such a massive thing. Like if Juhi Chaturvedi did not get this idea of making a film or writing a film about a sperm donor, which was such an obscure idea that was so weird to imagine in a Hindi film back then Ayushmann wouldn't have been casted in that film and he wouldn't have the career that he has today. So, it's eventually this butterfly effect that happens, but I think, writing is extremely important.
Yeah, because you spoke about color. Have you seen this conversation where Zoya Akhtar, Suzanne, the production designer of Gully Boy, and Jay, they are talking about this one particular aspect where, they had no blue in the entire film.
They had no
blue, the color blue.
Achha.
In the entire film, not in production design, not in costume, not in lighting, nowhere, because Zoya had apparently just sworn off blue for that entire film, and it was so difficult to achieve it because Mumbai ka slums ka color is blue, because it's all covered with that blue plastic, right? So Mumbai ka slums, if you look at it, it's in nature it's blue, but then for the entire film, Zoya did not want any blue in the entire film. And how they managed to achieve it with, with Jay being the cinematographer and Suzanne being the production designer and costume, and everything came together to achieve that. It was very difficult, but they managed to pull it off without leaving that, absent thing in the thing. Because you spoke about it, I thought you should.
So all the blues in the film were achieved in post-production?
No, while shooting.
No, you're saying, but they did not have it while shooting, no?
They did not want it. So Zoya told the production designer, the costume, the entire team that I do not want any blue in the film. Don't you find it difficult to write for films which are on the surface, and even though you've enjoyed it, there isn't much to explore through the writing other than talking about the plot?
It is difficult at times to write about, since I write mainly about characters, I rarely write about the film overall. It is difficult to write about a character that is very surfaced and there is not much depth into it. I can't recollect which character, but I'd written about one character and a lot of comments were like, film banane wale ne itna nahi depth socha hoga, what you have thought of in the character.
Which character is that?
I don't.
Could be the Shah Rukh Khan's character from Ae Dil Hai Mushkil.
Maybe. I think I don't think
so. He had such a purpose in that film. I think his cameo was the entire film summarized.
Yeah, it had the most important dialogue.
Yeah, because it's what the movie was about, right? I mean,
one-sided.
Yeah, I can totally say that his cameo totally summarized the entire plot of the film.
I think it was with Kalindi's character of Love Stories. I think that's where I got a lot of comments that the creator would have not thought so much of depth into the character.
But that is so surprising. If that is true, That is really surprising because even Kalindi's character in
Extremely
that
layered.
it was extremely layered.
Oh, now I remember. It was for Natasha's character in Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, Kalki's character. That biopsy got a lot of comments that ये तो ऐसे ही था, इतना क्यों analyze कर दिया, that was just a side character, not much depth.
I can see why a viewer or a reader would say that.
Yeah.
But I think as a creator, there was enough for her character, for who she was in the film.
Yeah.
But I can understand why a viewer or a reader would say that, because for them the main characters are these three guys and Katrina Kaif.
Yeah.
Right? No one else was that important. So
Actually, I enjoy writing more about these kind of side kind of characters.
yeah.
Also, when I wrote about Subodh from Dil Chahta Hai, or when I wrote about the Salman Habib character from Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. So I like finding such ignored characters throughout the movie and finding more depth in them.
Yeah, because then you have much more to explore than what is there on screen. And it is so exciting, even the thought is so exciting that, just screen pe dikh raha hai, wo to sab dikh raha hai, but then you are seeing something beyond it and, finding new meanings to it.
One thing that I got really surprised on myself when I was researching the character was when I wrote about Mr. Heckles from Friends, one of my very early posts. Friends
is the guy downstairs, yeah.
Neighbor, yeah.
Downstairs.
Oh, sorry, downstairs neighbor.
He would do the broom thingy. Yeah.
So, the downstairs neighbor, he dies off in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But because I wanted to write on him, I revisited his episodes only and his scenes. And because now I was specifically observing that character, there was so much more I could see in him, in the background, in his house setup, in the things in his house, in the way he's always in that same robe that I'd not noticed before. So much more I could notice when I sat to notice specifically.
Yeah.
Very fun that way.
I feel ki however on the surface a movie is, there is always something more that has gone unnoticed. Might not hold true for all the movies, but I still feel that there is at least that one section in every on the surface plot or on the surface movie that has gone unnoticed, and because the movie did not hold you together, you don't want to talk about that unnoticed part, because then you're just like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't know if that answers this question.
Yeah, so I think, for example, somebody had written on Home to Cinema about a scene from Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, for example, and she had really dived deep into the scene and deconstructed the scene. It was a scene where like Bunny and Naina are sitting by the poolside when Bunny comes to the wedding for the first time, etc., etc. So it was that scene, and she had really dived into it, analyzed it, and analyzed every dialogue, and she had compared the water body to Bunny's ambition, stuff like that, right? And I think, and somebody had commented. So the reason I thought about this is because somebody had commented over there that even Ayan Mukherjee wouldn't have thought of all this when he was making a shit film like this. Something of that sort he had written. So I think there is some, there is a section of people in India as well as abroad who have this kind of, especially in the film community, film lovers community, who have this kind of intellectual elitism when it comes to watching films, where they look down upon a certain kind of cinema just because it doesn't align with their idea of cinema, let's say. So the way I look at it is that if the person who wrote about Ye Jawani Hai Diwani feels some kind of connection to the film or to the scene or to the character, then you're nobody to judge that. ठीक है ना? सबसे पहली बात तो ये है, मतलब who is anybody to judge what scene or character a person relates to, right? The second thing is that how do you know that Ayan Mukherjee did not have certain things in mind? Because I think a lot of people underestimate the kind of thought, the kind of thinking that goes into making a film or a show. Maybe when it comes to films like Dabangg or like all these masala entertainers, they're probably not putting in a lot of thought in the same things that other people are putting a thought into, but they are probably thinking more about the action sequences, or the dance sequences, and maybe if somebody can analyze those things, then why not? we are probably not the right people because we don't understand those things properly. We can talk about writing, but if there is not a lot of depth in the writing, but there is depth and there is something to be talked about in the action sequences, let's say, in the fighting sequences, because these are also crafts. These are also important aspects of filmmaking which take up a lot of research and practice. If people can talk about it, then then why not? Like, who is anybody to judge that? So yeah, that's what I believe.
Yeah, I feel like a large section of the audience is still treating. I mean, they still look at films and cinema as something that is just a 2-hour thing. You go, you watch it, you have fun, or you don't have fun. You think whatever you want to think about it, and you come back. They like how for example, an entertainer is supposed to be that. Like a movie like Dabangg is supposed to be that. It is created for that particular section of the audience, or it is created for that particular experience that you come, you have fun, you think whatever you want, you get your life troubles for 2 hours that you're in this cinema hall with Salman Khan, and then you go back to your normal life. Right? It is made for that particular purpose. But not all movies are made for that purpose. But there's a large section of the society are so trained into thinking कि films तो यही है. That they watch all the films with that particular lens.
Films have only trained them into thinking that way. It's like a cycle. Unless films break that and make them think more, they will not think more.
Should films be held responsible for creating stereotypes about certain people, example LGBTQ community, religions, people belonging to certain parts of the country, people of certain professions, etc.? Or it should be looked at as a mere reflection of today's society? Where to draw the line in rules of content creation so that no audience member is offended?
It's a lovely question.
You want to start with it?
Yeah.
I think I'll answer the second bit first. I don't think you can ever make a movie that does not offend anyone. No matter how good, no matter how careful and meticulously written dialogues you have and the picturization, everything is perfect, still there will be someone who will take offense. You should either be over careful or you can just not care at all. Or you can find a nice midway between that. That's on the second part. The first one was, should films be held responsible for creating stereotypes about certain people, or it should be looked as a mere reflection of today's society? Again, see, a lot of talking about the whole trans community. If you see all 90s Bollywood, they've only made fun of them, and they've used these as caricature, funny characters to make fun of and as fillers in the story. Bobby Darling and all that.
Yeah.
No,
But
all films for that matter. All
Yeah.
that mainstream films.
वो जानने जाना वाली कौन सी मूवी थी?
प्यार किया तो डरना क्या?
प्यार किया तो डरना क्या? उसमें वो एक कॉलेज में वो बंदा था, टिंग 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 टिंग.
That music would play every time he would come on screen. Yeah.
So, but then I don't blame them because उस टाइम पे अपना overall society का maturity नहीं था इन topics से related. Yeah, in a way they were reflecting the society because everybody used to not give the kind of stature to trans people that we do and understand them now. उस level का education नहीं था, ना ही masses में, तो again movies में कहाँ से होगा? And again movies में नहीं था तो masses में कहाँ से आएगा? So it was just, we were a regressive culture back then. Over time we have evolved, we have learned about it, so I don't think we can blame anyone outright कि इसके वजह से हुआ. Look at how mature the portrayal of trans was in Super Deluxe. What Vijay Sethupathi did, that was phenomenal.
Beautiful.
So we are really, movie making in India has come of age, still going through a big process. Still a lot of things need to happen. But yeah, a lot of embarrassing things in the past movies that you just
that's not just in India, by the way. A lot of American films also are dealing with the same kind of conversations right now. Ace Ventura, which is one of the biggest comedy films in American history, and now people look at it as so problematic because of its representation of trans people. You could say that most of the trans jokes that started happening in contemporary Bollywood also came from Ace Ventura. That
Okay.
that film was the first time where they made joke of the fact that that the character made out with a trans woman and later finds out that that she was a trans woman, so it becomes a joke. So you can see that in so many Hindi films later on, in Masti and all these other films. So that's happening in Hollywood as well. I mean, they have a lot of embarrassing things as well. Today only I was reading that The Office creator Greg Daniels had to apologize for a blackface scene in The Office. Do you remember when Nate dresses up in blackface in season 9 or season 8? When Dwight dresses up, Nate the the bald guy जो एकदम लास्ट में आता है सीजन 8 सीजन 9 में, जो ड्वाइट जिसको उठा के ले आता है एक जगह से.
Okay.
तो वो उसको एक बार ड्वाइट ब्लैक फेस में ड्रेसअप करता है, और अब ब्लैक फेस तो बहुत बड़ा इशू बन गया है अब अमेरिकन कल्चर के लिए, एंड इट्स जस्ट नॉट.
Oh yeah. The Moroccan Benihana Christmas special episode where Dwight is playing
बेंच निकल
Bench Nickel. हाँ.
उसी में.
Oh yeah. अरे उसके लिए अपोलोजाइज
करा उसने, करा भी. जिमी फैलन को अपोलोजाइज करना पड़ा है अपने पुराने ब्लैक फेस स्केचेस के लिए. जिमी किमेल को करना पड़ा है अपोलोजाइज, because in America, like now the conversation is so far ahead as compared to the Indian conversations that like it'll take a lot of time for us to even get there, because in general society में वो change आना पड़ेगा ना पहले. मतलब caste issues के बारे में कोई बात ही नहीं करता, तो फिर वही वाली चीज है जैसे तुमने बोला कि मतलब पहले वो सोसाइटी में चेंज आएगा थोड़ा बहुत धीरे धीरे करके, फिर वो फिल्मों में देखना स्टार्ट करेगा, फिल्मों से फिर सोसाइटी में देखना शुरू होगा और ज्यादा. पर हाँ, पहले सोसाइटी में आना पड़ेगा. मतलब डेफिनेटली फिल्म्स आर फर्स्ट अ रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी than the other way around. If it happens the other way around, like it did in the case of, for example, like a film like Fire, जो नंदिता दास और उसकी फिल्म थी शबाना आजमी की,
उसको क्या थिएटर तोड़े थे, पोस्टर चलाए थे because there was a lesbian case.
No bro, so it wasn't that. So I was Basundhara did this interview now with Apurva Srani. है ना? So Apurva Srani, the writer of Aligarh, he was talking about it, and he told that the reaction that the film got, it wasn't because of the LGBTQ representation, it was because of some other problem where they had used the name of some goddess, like they had used the name of goddess Sita in some respect. Yeah, so Apurva Srani said this, so it must definitely be true. And the way we have learned about it is that it was because of the reaction to LGBTQ community. But eventually, like back then, there was no conversation about LGBTQ issues. So if a film like that came out back then, like it did not start any conversation at all, because people just, I'm sure they could not even understand like what's happening, and that is even a possibility because people in India did not have any idea about it. It must have been there in the elitist of the elitist circles of urban India, maybe, you know.
I just feel like it's more like a mirror reflection. Like going by what Harshit said, abhi ki Fire में जो सारा outrage था, it was because of something they must have spoken about Sita in some way, which people might have not agreed or something. Guilty came out now, and it spoke about Sita and Draupadi as two women, and how Draupadi was far more progressive than Sita. You know, how Sita could not stand up or Draupadi could, or whatever, that comparison. Today you can have that and have people not get offended about it. But back then, the same conversation would have made a mess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't start from anywhere. It's like a cycle which has to. It is so codependent, the society and the kind of movies that we make. Like for example, Made in Heaven में Arjun Mathur, the portrayal of him being a homosexual, it was so mature. You cannot imagine doing that back then and people accepting the way it is and not cringing away from the screen.
Yeah.
I think one of the first movies that did that was My Brother Nikhil. Very good.
Yeah. And look what happened to that movie. Now we're talking about it, but at that time, exactly, right? So I think it's extremely codependent on each other. Like the society has to empower the films and this kind of cinema and the kind of content that comes out, and the cinema or the creators have to empower the society and nudge them into a direction with where, you know, the conversations start and people start feeling comfortable about what they're watching or what they're consuming or talking about it. I feel it is extremely codependent, and like they have to help each other out.
Yeah.
Like if the society becomes extremely progressive and the cinema doesn't, it will die. And if the cinema becomes extremely outrageous suddenly, people will not accept it. It's the truth. How much ever we want to.
Yeah.
Do you dissect a film's craft, technical aspects, and politics when you're watching it for the first time, or do you prefer to let it work on you and keep the analysis for the second viewing? Nice question.
I definitely watch it. I definitely observe it in the first time itself. Generally, like I mostly watch the film once only. It's very rare that I watch a film for the second time in a very short duration. हाँ?
बड़ा आदमी है.
नहीं.
एक ही बार देखता हूँ.
दूसरी बार अगर मेरे को फिल्म देखनी होती है तो वो कई सालों बाद होता है. मतलब बात ये नहीं है कि मतलब इसमें कोई चौड़ वाली बात है. बात ये है कि मुझसे देखी नहीं जाती फिर से वो सेम फिल्म, क्योंकि मेरा वो एक बार जो फिल्म का एक्सपीरियंस है ना, वो मैं एक बार तक ही रखना चाहता हूँ, यू नो, लाइक पर मेरे साथ ये है कि ना, मैं इनफैक्ट एक बार मैं राजीव मसंद सर के साथ में लाइव गया था, तो और उस टाइम पे मैंने उनसे एक सवाल पूछा था कि सर आपके हिसाब से, आप यू ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट द फैक्ट दैट फिल्म क्रिटिसिज्म इज द बेस्ट जॉब इन द वर्ल्ड, यू गेट टू वॉच फिल्म्स, ट्रैवल द वर्ल्ड एटसेट्रा, but do you think there is a downside to this job as well? And he said, which is something that I've also thought about and I agree with, that the whole concept of this race being there, that they have to write the reviews on the same day itself, you know, that is something that I have a huge problem with, because that is not how I think film, and this is happening around the world, because it's about कि भाई कौन सा न्यूज़पेपर सबसे पहले लिखेगा और लोग उस पे जाके रिव्यू पढ़ेंगे या फिर यूट्यूब चैनल पे जाएंगे. That is not how film criticism should be done, you know. A person should always stay with the film for at least 3-4 days, if not more, and then write about the film, because your opinions about the film change like that, you know, because there are so many things that you don't even know, yeah. Like right after you watch the film, you have not done any research and you start writing. It can't, because you see so many reviews now. So सवाल क्या था वैसे, मैं तो ये भूल गया. हाँ, so the point that I'm trying to make is that it just cannot like for me, the one-time experience of watching the film is the main experience that I need, and if I watch it again, then it will change the experience for me, and on the basis of that only I want to write. But I'll take probably a week or a week and a half in order to let the film stay with me. I'll properly form my opinions about the film. I'll read about the film in terms of, I'll read about the politics of the film, I'll read about the whatever backgrounds I can read about the, you know, the society where the film is set, etc., etc., and then I'll try to analyze the film or write about the film. So for me, it has to be once. Yeah.
For me, it kind of happens simultaneously in the first viewing. It's sort of a default. It's become now, and somewhere I hate it also. When I'm watching a movie for the first time, there is a person inside my head who is simultaneously analyzing dialogues and characters and camera angles and the room and all. So and that's why I fall in love with movies that in the moment make me forget all of that and just absorb me into that world.
Yeah.
So that's something that happens. Otherwise, I at times after I've finished watching the movie, I ponder on it, and I think of a lot of things that I did not realize when I was watching it for the first time. But when I decide to write on a character, I have at times, most of the times I've had to revisit the movies because I've forgotten them. It had been so long since I saw them. So अभी वो character पे लिखने के लिए मुझे फिर से देखनी पड़ती है मुझे ऐसा.
But do you write on the same day that you watch the film, or do you also like to stay? Do you also like it to stay with you for some days and then you write about it?
No, so it's a movie that if it's a movie I've already seen, but I just want to revisit the character because I want to write on it, then I write it immediately. At times I will not even watch the whole movie. I will forward and go to that person's seat just to analyze and write on it. But if it's a first time viewing, then also I prefer writing it
the same day
as soon as possible, because then I forget the nuances that I had noticed in the first viewing.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
For me, I agree with Kalpak. The first part that he said, that while I'm watching a movie for the first time, I'm constantly in this zone where I'm analyzing each and everything about it, and it's by default. It's not like I sit and critically watch a movie. It's just by default. If I'm watching something for the first time, I'm automatically thinking about, everything that is gone into constituting that particular frame or a scene or a movie or everything. And honestly, it is rarely happened that my opinions or my experience has changed over multiple viewings. Like if I've felt something during the first sitting through that movie, stayed with me. If I'm watching the same movie for the second time, I still have the same thoughts, maybe slight alterations here and there, but honestly nothing major. So that's why how I do it is, when I'm watching it for the first time, it's automatically happening in my head that I'm critically watching it or analyzing the film, etc. And then the second time, or if I'm watching it multiple times, then the next of the times I'm just watching it just to enjoy the film and not think about anything else.
In the first viewing, you did not like the movie, but then when you thought more and more about it, you liked it more and more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which movie?
Yeah, so many. Like, for example, it happened with Tamasha also. For example, the first time I saw it, I liked it even then. But then I started thinking about so many scenes and what they meant on a bigger level.
Yeah.
So it happened with
Tamasha
Tamasha.
grows with every viewer.
Yeah, so for example, the thing that I was talking about now with respect to film criticism, that is very true for Tamasha. Like Tamasha, so many critics that bashed the film when it came out, they now talk about the film in a way that they say that our reviews were wrong and we now like the film. Like Rahul Desai did. He did not review the film very well when the film came out, but now he says that he is a fan of the film. So that only happens because there are some films that, a lot of films that matter. So like a lot of critics have also said that a film that they reviewed well in the past, they realized probably within a week or something like that the film had some problems that they did not understand when they saw it, because they were in such a hurry to write the review. I mean, you do realize a lot of things about a film, yeah. Like it happens almost every time you watch a good film.
Yeah, and also it influences how you think about it. No, I mean, when you're watching a film for the first time, you're watching it with a blank slate, like with a clean slate, and you're just absorbing everything that the film is giving you, right? After you've read about the film here and there, or after you've researched about the film, it will instantly start influencing your every thought that you had about the film while watching it with a blank mind. It's human nature for that to happen, that external thoughts will influence how you think about a particular film, which is why I feel even with Tamasha, when people were watching it for the first time, they did not realize how much it actually connected with them or reflected on them, etc., etc. But when they saw that there is an entire generation connecting with that feeling and connecting with that emotional bond with that person, you automatically grow into believing that it's much more than what you thought it was while watching the film.
Yeah, it's possible. The conversation around it also influences the way you think about it.
Absolutely. Like there have been so many films that I have watched and I have really liked while watching the film, and people have, and then I've come out of the film and people have been like, "Arey, ye kya film thi? This was wrong, that was wrong, this was wrong, that was wrong," and I have been conflicting about, whether what do I believe now.
Yeah.
And it happens for both positive and negative. Like Badrinath Ki Dulhania, I really liked that film while watching it. Like I genuinely liked that film while watching it. But after the conversation started about, those particular scenes, how Varun Dhawan was toxic towards Alia Bhatt, and like Varun Dhawan's character was toxic towards Alia Bhatt's character in the movie, and how it was misogynistic, or that rape scene of Varun Dhawan was not done well, and it was not okay to
Sexual assault.
it.
It wasn't a rape scene. Sexual assault.
potential rape.
Yeah.
Yeah, so matlab, you know how they made fun of it, etc. All
Yeah.
the conversations, when I got out of the viewing and those conversations started, it started influencing my thoughts over the film also.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, makes
So
sense.
that happens for, I feel that is why, you know, some films grow over a period of time or depreciate over a period of time, because there are so many conflicting conversations and conflicting emotions around you and around that particular movie.
Yeah.
That happened with me when I saw Rockstar for the first time. First time I saw it in the theater, I did not like it at all. Like I was telling people, "Mat dekho yaar, bakwas picture hai." And then those were the times when there was no OTT. Theaters निकल गई थी, so no way of viewing it again.
Yeah.
And
It
my
was a
head,
different time.
that movie could not leave, was refusing to leave my thoughts, and it kept building and building and building. I was like, fuck, I really need to see the movie again. I think it was a good movie. I was maybe not in the right frame of mind when watching it, and then when I saw it again, I fell in love with it.
It has happened to me also, but I can't recollect a film that did that to me when, you know, I did not like it in the first. But I'm sure it's gonna come to me, and I'll mention it in the comments below. Alright.
That happened with when the first time I had red wine also. It sounds very silly, but because of this reason, in my head, Rockstar always makes me think of red wine for some reason, because both have a similar effect on me. The first time I sipped red wine, I hated it. बोला ये तो काढ़ा है, वे कैसे पी रहे लोग? And then after a month or two, I was craving red wine. Like मुझे अभी चाहिए, पीनी है. I don't know why. And the same thing happened with Rockstar also. So I have this weird association of Rockstar and wine in my head.
That happened with me for beer. I was like, oh.
I took a lot of time to get accustomed to beer. I used to hate beer.
And now I love beer.
I don't think anybody likes beer in the first go. I don't think anybody has liked beer in the first go.
For
You guys tried mead?
Beer.
Have you guys tried
Tried what?
mead? MEAD, mead.
No.
It's like a kind of, it's not a beer, but beer का कोई cousin ही है वो भाई जैसा. It does not have the fizz, but it is delicious. Like if you like beer, you will definitely like mead, and it's a much tastier version. Bombay में अच्छा शिकागो तो Bombay में heavy था. Moonshine करके there is a meadery that.
But I've not tried mead. Next time I go, I'll try it out.
Yeah, must. Their apple cider mead is amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure there has been a movie which has grown on me over time, and I'll definitely think about this and get back. I really can't remember one right now, but I'm sure there are many of those. On that note, this is amazing, and thank you so much, guys, for coming and chatting, and
Thank you, Shikha. Thank you for making this happen.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys.
A lot of chat about cinema and about other things.
Hana.
Like forums are a good outlet to, you know,
Actually, मुझे लग रहा है मैं सदियों
came out.
Actually ऐसा लग रहा है कि सदियों से मैंने बात नहीं करी थी दुनिया में किसी से और आज
I'm glad that is the feeling you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you so much again, guys, for doing this, and we'll again do this soon with new films and new discoveries and new opinions and new ways. And keep skating. I'll see you soon.
Take care, stay
So,
safe.
thank you. Bye, Kalpak. Bye, Shikha.
Bye. Good night.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and never miss an update on Film Interactions.